Hello, everyone. We are live. Ben saying the popcorn's not done. Sorry, a bit too early. So I saw Len from Bucket List Homesteading here. Hello. Ben Cummings from Homegrown Show with Ben Cummings. Carpenter Self Reliance is here. Little House in the Big Woods. Melissa says she will be listening while planting more plants. We all get where you're coming from. We all pretty much have the same issue at this time. It's go, 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 and it seems like we don't have enough time. Hello from Michael. Welcome to the chat, Michael. Okay, so probably more people are going to get here in the next couple of minutes. So I have with me a special guest tonight. I will let you introduce yourself because I'm afraid to scrap your name.
Hello, everyone. My name is Slava. And my channel name is Kitchen Garden Therapy. I live in Chicago, Illinois, but I live here for 10 years only. I moved here from Ukraine, so I've been gardening all my life on a different scale though. Now, because I live in a big city, things have changed dramatically for me, and I have to kind of adapt to my new reality. And that's what I will want to talk about today.
Awesome. Hello, Rents Homestead. I don't know if it's Lindsay or Jack, or sometimes I think they're both on their own phone, and there might be comments coming from both of them. I see Joe and Sue's Off-Grid Homestead. Hello, welcome to the chat. You said you were living in Ukraine and now you moved to the big city.
Yes.
Do you remember what it was like back there, like in terms of did you have a bigger land? Did you have like big fields? And like we all see a dream
Yes.
world where kids run in the fields shoeless. And
Yes, when I was a kid, I could barely remember being in the house. Like we would get out early in the morning and we would get back when it's dark. I don't even know. We weren't probably even eating properly. We were just like grazing, eating whatever grows. We had a lot of land because that's what people do over there. They grow everything they eat. So the only things we were buying from the stores were like oil and flour, and even flour we were sometimes making our own. We would grow wheat and then we would take it to a mill and bring home as flour and then cooking everything from scratch. So we had our own chickens, we had pigs, we had a cow. We were making our own sour cream, cheese and butter and stuff like that. So I'm used to the homesteading type of life. And then I had to move here and everything changed. At first, the first year when I moved, I would go buy food and it didn't taste right. I was so disappointed. I was like, how do people eat it? It's so strange. Like potato didn't have any taste, and I tried like all kind of varieties, and even organic didn't taste right. So it took me a while to adjust and try to like use more spices, because in Ukraine we grow a lot of things, but we don't use a lot of spices in our cooking. So the food is kind of bland compared to like other cuisines. But maybe because everything tastes so fresh and organic that people don't actually need to use a lot of spices. Maybe that's the case.
could
And
be.
now here we have to use whatever we can to make the food taste right to us.
Yeah. Ben is asking, is the climate similar over there than what it is here? Well, for you, at least in Chicago.
Yes. For me, it's very similar because I'm from the West Ukraine, which is probably zone 4-5, United States. In Chicago, it's zone 5, edging 6. So it's a little bit warmer. Like we haven't had snow for a while here, and I'm already growing cool season vegetables. But my dad in Ukraine, he's still in, like, he still has snow and he's only thinking of starting gardening. So it's maybe a couple of weeks behind in Ukraine, but it's somewhat similar. All of the perennial vegetables and like fruits and trees are very similar.
Cool. I had a guest a couple of weeks back, a friend of mine called Neelan. Her name was Neelan. and she was from Cuba. And the thing I like about that is, you're from Ukraine, living in
Mhm.
Chicago. She's from Cuba, living close to me here in New Brunswick. Everybody has the same, um, not necessarily the same vision, but people around the world all want to grow their own food now.
Mhm.
Something that connects us from all over the planet, and I find it amazing that we can connect, we can chat now. We have people in the chat here listening to us, and everybody has like same kind of mind towards growing our own food. I find it interesting.
Yeah, to me too. I like to watch people from all around the world seeing what they can grow there, and then I right away I do research. Can I grow it here? Because I want to try different varieties of even the tomato. I've always had tomatoes, but I never tried those unique varieties, heirloom varieties. And I remember my parents only had like maybe two different, like they would have cherry tomato and a large tomato. That's it.
Okay.
And then I came here and I learned that there's like thousands of different varieties.
Oh yeah, definitely. My friend Annie from Back to Basics Homestead, she probably grows like 40 different kind of tomatoes, and she's probably not growing like half of what exists out there. It's different varieties for different zones, I guess. Like
Yeah.
in here, like in my area, I mean, we still had snow this morning. It was snowing again. My growing season is way shorter than what it is. Like even Ren's Homestead and Ben, they live in my province, about 3 hours away from me, south of me, and they don't have snow right now. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, we had our last snow, but it was very short and it melted right away on Easter. But before that, we had like a warm spell. We had like few days of 60s, 70s, and it was nice. I was working in the garden and I planted most of my cool vegetables, like things like spinach, lettuce, cauliflower, Brussels sprouts, kohlrabi, stuff like that, all the cabbages and salads. I started them indoors in February, and then sometime in March, I would say middle of March, I transplanted them into my raised beds. But then right after I transplanted them, I made those hoops out of the pipes and then I put plastic covers on them because I knew that after 60 degrees temperatures, we're going to go back to 30s and maybe even 20s. And I was right. Right after I planted all of my stuff, we got snow and freezing temperatures, but they survived. And I made an update on my channel. I showed how there was like snow on the plastic, but then when you lift the plastic, all of the plants are alive and growing.
Yep, there's a channel from Nova Scotia, not too far from me, Maritime Gardener. He does a lot of winter gardening, just like you were talking just now. He
Mhm.
has like this some sort of a dome, and like I mean, he has this stuff growing all winter long. They don't
Yeah.
have as much snow as we have because here you would have to, to take the snowblower and just to be able to get there, and then you would have to shovel, not to break anything. It'd be very hard, but some people are doing it.
Yeah.
Hello, Chicken Coop for the Soul. Hello, Bare Bones Living. Welcome to the chat. So, let's get to the interesting part. You wanted to talk about perennial vegetables. That's something
Mhm.
that I'm interested in also because beside like chives and a few more, I don't know very much about them. I know there's some sea kale that
Yes, I planted it this year.
okay, I purchased some. I was able to find some seeds, but I have three seeds, and I have to be very sure about how to plant them and what to do with them because I don't want to mess it up.
Okay, so I'll tell you what to do because I failed last year. So I purchased some seeds last year and I just dropped them in the ground. I thought, I mean, it's like lettuce, it's like spinach, but I was wrong. You have to like nick the coating because the seeds are really hard. They're kind of like morning glory, or I would say, I don't know what else is similar. Spinach is kind of similar. So you have to nick them and then take the little seed from that coating and then plant that little seed. Otherwise, it will not grow. It will take a while for it to break that coating. And as in my case, I planted it last spring, but it never grew. So then this winter, I decided I'm going to start it indoors to kind of give it a jump start. So I did start it in February as well, as same as all of my other seeds, and it sprouted. Not all of them. So out of 10 seeds, I got 5, and then 2 died. So I have 3 plants that survived. So hopefully you'll get one out of your 3.
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping for. At least one, if
At
it
least
can
one, yeah.
spread a little bit after. Hello, Wicked Awesome Gardening. I saw micro homesteading with Jake and Tanya. Peppers are my favorite perennials. I don't think peppers are considered perennial in my growing zone.
There is one pepper that's supposed to be hardy enough to zone 5. So probably me and you can grow it. And
I'm
I've
zone.
ordered your zone 4, okay. I've ordered seeds for that pepper. I forgot the name of it, but it's called cold hardy pepper. It grows like a bush. Um, and I got the seeds, I planted it, and it didn't grow. So I don't know if I did something wrong or the seeds were bad. I will try again next year. Maybe I did something wrong, same as the sea kale last year, and I have to keep experimenting. Who
Well,
knows?
there's nothing like trying again. Like
Exactly.
failure is a specialty. Yeah, there's always something we fail at, and until everything started 2 years ago, I was the kind of person that whatever I was going to try to grow would not work. I couldn't even grow radishes. I couldn't grow carrots. I couldn't grow anything. And then, I kind of gave up. I gave up on the whole gardening thing. And I'm like, okay, that's it. Like, I don't have a green thumb. It's not going to work. That's it. And, by having more time being stuck at home, I decided, you know what? Like, I've always loved being outdoors, being outside, spending time in the nature. I'm going to start growing my own food. And I went on YouTube. I found some amazing channels, Justin Rhodes and Luke My Gardener. And
Mm-hmm.
from there, I decided to start, learning from them. And that's why I started my channel, to teach people, like, I know nothing and I'm starting from scratch. Get on board and let's, learn together and move forward together. And I can grow pretty much everything I want now. The only thing I've failed is tomatoes and peppers, because I didn't have a greenhouse and the seasons are very short here. But I'll have a greenhouse this summer.
Mm-hmm.
Hello, Robert at Homestead Aquarius. Lynn is still here. Hoping our asparagus makes an appearance this year. If you planted them last fall, this should be all right.
Yeah, my asparagus is just starting to show up. I noticed today a little bit of asparagus, and I'm so happy. But it's not new. I planted it maybe 5 years ago. So I've already harvested it last year. So this is going to be my second year harvesting asparagus, and I'm so excited, so happy. So that's one of the perennial vegetables that I think everybody should have. Even if you don't grow in the ground, like, some people in the city, they don't have access to the ground, but you can grow asparagus in pots. Just make sure not to disturb it, after you plant it, because asparagus and other perennial vegetables, they take a while to establish. Some, like asparagus, up to 3 years, and they don't like to be transplanted, moved around. Every time you transplant it, it's like starting all over again. So you have to let them be on their own, let them rest, and there are so many perennial vegetables that can grow in our cold climate. I didn't realize that until I started doing some research. And even now I have like few books laying from Chicago Public Library about perennial vegetables. I'm trying to do as much research as I can, because I knew about basic perennials, but not those unique ones like sea kale. I just learned about sea kale last year. I didn't know there was a perennial kale. I thought, you have to. I thought all kales are biennial, like they come next year and that's it. That's because I'm not sure if in Canada, but here in Illinois, kale comes back the next year.
I'll be able to tell you in a few weeks, I guess, because I had some left last year. Um, we got hit by winter so fast, and not only that, but I mean, in the fall, it's a busy time, hunting and
Mm-hmm.
harvesting whatever we got left, and I kind of forgot about the kale there. I wanted to give it to the rabbits because it was starting to get mushy because of the cold.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of forgot them there. Uh, Micro homesteading with Jake and Tanya. I'm guessing it's Tanya. If I'm wrong, just let me know. So I'm gonna say Tanya from now on. Soak them to sprout them. She was talking about the sea kale seeds.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if that will work. I can probably try one seed and see.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Yes, these hard seeds soaking does help, like beans and stuff like that.
I also have rhubarb. Is that considered a perennial vegetable?
Yes, yes, rhubarb is perennial. I planted mine among strawberries because to me, they are like friends, companions. I love making rhubarb and strawberry jam, so I figured I'll make a strawberry patch with rhubarb in between.
Nice.
And my rhubarb is about this big already. Like it started sprouting maybe 2 weeks ago. But now that the temperature is warming, it should take off. So maybe in June, I'll have rhubarb to harvest.
So Tanya's saying that she brings the peppers in.
Okay. Yeah, I've heard that. I've seen it, some people doing it. The only thing is, you have to keep them probably under the lights, if I'm not mistaken, to keep them alive.
Yeah. Or you have them next to a window, but you gotta make
Yeah.
sure that they're warm enough. Sometimes
Mhm.
next to a window, it's a little bit cooler.
Yes.
It might
Yes,
kill them.
like I have this what I call grow room. It's like a sun room, and it has a lot of windows on all three sides, and also I have skylights. So it
Oh,
has a lot of light, but it's cold in winter. It doesn't have heating. So I mean, I can bring some things inside, but those things that are not afraid of cold. It's not going to be freezing like outdoors, but it's still cold. So like right now I have all of my seedlings in there, but right now it's okay. The temperatures are warming up. But I don't think peppers would survive there in winter.
no,
I may,
definitely not.
I may try next winter because I'm going to lose them anyway. So I may try to bring a few in and see what if they survive. So thank you for that advice. That's a good idea to do.
I'd love to know the name of that. I'm guessing they're talking about the pepper, the cold hardy pepper. I'll look it up for sure. I will try to find it. We are 4B. I think most of the perennial veggies we don't like. Well, at least if you like fruits, you can grow a lot of fruits.
Yeah. Another perennial vegetable that I started from seed this year, and I was looking for those seeds for quite a while. They were hard to find. It's called Turkish Rocket. So it's rocket is the name for arugula, but this Turkish rocket is not an arugula. It's more like broccoli, I would say. It has these florets like broccoli, but the whole plant is edible. So the leaves, when it's young, the leaves can be consumed like the same way as arugula is. And it's supposed to be cold hardy to zone 4. So maybe you will want to try that in the future. I don't know why they call it perennial arugula. I would say it's broccoli. Yeah, and it's growing up nicely, so I'm so happy.
I have a question. I don't know if you got the answer or if someone in the chat has an answer. When you bring your plants outside, you have to harden
Mhm.
them up. Do you have to do some sort of the same process when you bring them back in? Do they
I
need to acclimate to the indoor environment?
I usually don't,
No.
but maybe that's wrong. Maybe
Well, if they
some.
survive, it means they're doing good.
Yeah, usually in the end of the season, I bring all of the herbs inside just so I can enjoy them for longer. And I don't do hard, acclimating them to the inside.
I saw a comment. I'm kind of a little bit behind, but okay, here it is. Bare Bones Living just outside of Chicago.
Oh,
You were
nice.
wondering if there was anyone close to you.
Yes. That's interesting.
And I
Um,
also saw Maple Cook coming in. Hello and welcome to the chat. Sorry, cut you off.
no, that's fine. I was just trying to say that I'm inside the Chicago. Like I'm not in the suburbs. I'm in the middle of the city. We wanted to move out to get some kind of, a bigger house, bigger property, but we both work in the city and it would be tough with all the traffic. We definitely don't want to spend an hour one way in the traffic. Right now, we live 15 minutes from work
Okay.
and it's great. I love it. I
Yeah,
don't
for
like,
that is kind of troublesome in the morning.
yeah, especially in the morning when you have to drop kids to school and then go to work. Yeah, I don't want to commute for an hour. But the problem living inside the city is all the properties are so small. Our Chicago, like typical Chicago lot, is 25 by 125. Imagine how small that is. It's like really, really tiny. And that's including the house, including the garage. For everything, you have 25 by 125. So I have maybe 400 square feet of growing space. But, we also need some grass for kids to run. So I'm not utilizing all of those 400 square feet.
But you have a few garden beds also that
Mhm.
probably produce a lot. Because I've seen, like, you've shown me your plans before we went live, and you have way more than me, and I have a way bigger land than you, and I don't know where I'm going to put them all. So I can only imagine the struggle you're going to have to figure out all the spots to put everything.
Well, I try to utilize my front yard, even though it's not traditional. Usually people put flowers in the front and food in the back. But I've incorporated my edibles in the front too, especially things like peppers. Peppers are so ornamental. I mean, I feel it that way, that they look good. So
Mhm.
if you plant, usually what I do, I plant one pepper in a pot, and then around the pepper, I plant some flowers like petunias, and it looks so good. Last year, I had eggplants in my front yard, right by I have like an arc in front of my stairs, and I
Okay.
had two large pots with eggplants and petunias. And everybody who would come, they would be like, wow, you have eggplants growing. They were so surprised. Yeah. Also, I try to grow things like ornamental kale. I grow it in the front because it looks good and it's edible. And a lot of flowers, I try to grow those flowers that can either be edible, so I can eat them, or medicinal, because I'm an herbalist. So I want to grow as many medicinal herbs myself so I don't have to buy them. Because if you buy, you don't know where it's coming from. It's hard to find a trustful source. So I
Mhm.
try to grow as many medicinal herbs so I can make my own tinctures and stuff. If you can see behind me over here, I have a ton of different tinctures I've made in the past couple of years. And oops, I will break one. So I put them in these like tiny little bottles and I write on them. So this one is bearberry. Let
And
me.
that will be used for what?
Well, bearberry is good for urinary system. So if you have like bladder infection and stuff like that, I'm not sure if you have it grow. You must have growing it in Canada because it's a cold loving plant. It's you probably know it as lingonberry. I mean, it's similar to lingonberry.
It doesn't ring a bell, but maybe we do. I'm just going to answer a few questions here. Try to speed up a little bit. Um, Ben, I intend to go to pick up some fiddleheads. Um, I'm going to the conference in Ontario next week, and last year at this time we had no snow, and it was I remember going for fiddleheads on the 14th of May in my area. So by the time I go, it's probably gonna be done for you. But yeah, like I intend to pick around like 80 to 100 pound of fiddleheads. Uh,
Nice.
they're pretty good. I love them. My girlfriend loves them.
Hmm.
Lynn, talking about the challenge overwintering peppers. That's a good idea. I wrote it down. Uh, Starting asparagus in containers. They say you can overwinter peppers indoors. Yeah, and that's what we're talking about. It. I've heard that too. I'm gonna speed it up a little bit. I love rhubarb, but is it a veggie? I have always called it a fruit. I say more of a veggie than a fruit.
It's just used in desserts mostly, like rhubarb pie, rhubarb jam. So people think it's a fruit. But I mean, tomato is also a fruit, but nobody considers it.
And Ren saying that they'll be looking for fiddleheads, and also saying that they'll look for brook trout as well. If you go close to a river, you're probably going to find some fiddleheads, and you're probably close to the time, like the right timing right now. Okay, planted my last of the corn today. Nice. Maple Cook is saying hi. I was so upset last year. I planted rhubarb and it was gigantic, but because it was first year, I couldn't harvest it. Like,
Yeah.
hoping for a good result this year. I'm pretty sure I killed mine. I wanted to make a garden, and the rhubarb was right in the middle of the spot I wanted. I picked it up, planted it like 2 feet to the left, and when I went to pick it up later in the summer, it was dead. So it might come back this year, but you
It
never know.
might. Maybe it was growing roots. Like it puts all of its energy into root growing.
That's what I'm
Hopefully.
hoping. That's what I'm hoping. If you live in a cooler growing zone, such as the mountains, you can also try the one pepper that tolerates cooler temperatures, the infamous black-seeded Manzano pepper. Is that the one you were talking about, or doesn't it
No.
have?
No. The one that I was talking about, it had some Latin name, and I have hard time with Latin names.
She's naming a couple more here: ace pepper, Bulgarian carrots, chal pepper, intruder pepper, Yankee bell pepper. All names I have no idea.
Yeah, I mean I've heard of chili pepper, manzano pepper, but these are not the one I was talking about. These are still probably they are perennial, but to certain zone, not to 4 or 5.
Wicked Awesome Gardening is answering my question. When we harden them off, it's mostly because of the sun and the UV rays, and not
Mhm.
necessarily. I thought it was more because of the cold, different
No,
different oxygen and stuff like that. Also,
no, it's the sun because they are used to the low light inside the house, and when you put them outside, so if that was the case, then we should take them out on the sunny, warm day, and nothing would happen to them. But they all get that wilted sunburn, that
yeah.
stuff. Yeah.
And at the same time, I have my plants in front of the window. They get the sun. They get the exact same amount of sun they would get if I planted them like just outside of the window outside. Like, well, I don't know.
No, it's still different because it goes through the glass,
Yeah,
so it gets filtered.
yeah, because we don't really get sunburns inside. Well, we could if whenever we're driving in a car, if we have the sun in our arm on the side of the window, you'll see the big red mark after you get home. Anyone
Yeah.
have good tomato suggestions? I feel like I've planted several kinds over the years, and none really wow me. I personally wouldn't know. Never really had success with tomatoes.
Well, I have a few favorite varieties. Like if you're talking about cherry, like small tomatoes, my favorite variety is yellow pear, which has a pear shape. They are really tasty and they keep their shape. Like I like those tomatoes that don't split, so you can keep them longer. So I really love yellow pear and slightly bigger than cherry tomato, but still not a full size is San Marzano, which is Italian heirloom. It's very popular. A lot of people grow it, and I love it personally. I mean, it's a great cooking tomato. So like for sauces and paste and stuff like that, love San Marzano. Can't recommend it enough. It's great variety. And also, what I discovered last year, this variety called Old German. It's a big slicer tomato, and it has this like yellowish, orangey color. So it's not a red tomato, but who cares? As long as it tastes good. I love it. It has a great taste, and it keeps well too.
Cool. Maple Cook saying that his or her sister, lives in Chicago. Understand the vibe. Um, is there any other perennial vegetables that you
Hmm.
want to talk about?
Yeah. So when you were talking about fiddleheads, what came to my mind was this vegetable called ramps. Do you have it growing in wilderness in Canada? Because if you have fiddleheads, you must have ramps.
I would have to Google it up. It rings a bell. I've heard it before.
It's also called wild garlic.
So we definitely have those around, but I was never able to find any.
Okay, it's an
But
amazing herb or vegetable, whatever you want to call it. So it has like a tiny bulb, like what scallions, like green onions would have,
okay,
and then it has the leaves are wider than um, the leaves are kind of like spinach but longer, and it has a great garlicky taste, but not as sharp as a clove of garlic would have. And it's only coming up early in the spring, and then once it goes to flower, the leaves disappear. So it grows in the wilderness, but you can grow it easily around your house. So a few years ago, I planted some ramps in my backyard in Chicago, and it grows. So every spring I'm harvesting ramps. It's another perennial vegetable that I'm enjoying. I love it.
cool, cool, cool. I've never heard of gold medal. I've tried the pink brandy wine before. We didn't have much success with them, but that was also our first year we grew, and I've learned since then. We always learn.
Yeah.
Eggplant and okra make wonderful edible ornaments as well.
Yes.
One that I like is chives. I purchased
Hmm.
chives a while back, thinking they were actually flowers. I was in the mood of doing a corner of all purple flowers. I bought them. It was just like 50 cents. It had this perennial special Saturdays or whatever, and on that specific day was chives. I didn't know what it was. I bought them. I planted them in my front yard. I just realized last summer that it was actually an herb that I could eat.
Hmm.
So this is the spot where the dog usually goes to do his things. So I'm gonna take them in the spring as soon as I can and plant them way in the back and wait maybe a year or two before I harvest them. But I planted some more, so I'm hoping that I can have them.
There's there's also garlic chives. So they are similar to regular chives. The only thing they have flat leaves. So also long but flat.
Okay, that's
And
the difference. I have
yeah,
some here. Didn't know the difference.
yeah. And they are also perennial. They come back every year. And the more you pick them, the more they will produce, the more they will grow.
Cool. Good to know because I'm intending on picking a lot.
Hmm.
A rhubarb is a veggie. Just learned that this week. Even direct sun through windows, the UV rays are mostly filtered out.
Hmm.
Outside sun is same as we were talking about.
Yeah.
Hello, Brampton Gardner. Welcome to the chat. Doing pretty fine, pretty well actually. It's Friday night. I'm working in the morning, but it's a sacrifice I have to make to go to the conference in Ontario, so I'm okay with it. Sun and wind outside, they also get beat up and stronger with the wind on them. Inside, they are weaker. A fan on them inside helps. Yeah, running your hand over them. I had a fan a while back on the plants, but for some reason it was just like everything would just fall on the side. So now what I do is just once in a while I go and I blow on them.
You pet them.
I touch them. I put my hand. I love it. I see that Hickory Croft is here. It's probably Chris and Steph. They're usually the both of them there. Welcome to the chat, guys. Sun Gold Cherry tomatoes are my favorites. My daughter loves them too. Really want to try ramps.
Ramps are awesome. I love them. And now is the, like in Chicago right now is the season for them. So I'm not sure about the other areas, but that's what I'm eating now. I made some ramps butter. I'm not sure if you've seen, I made some compound butter for my channel the other day. Basically, you just take butter, you soften it up, and then you mix whatever herbs you have growing in your garden. So I made one with ramps, and it was delicious. I love it.
Nice.
Another cool vegetable, even though it's not considered vegetable, it's a famous ornamental plant, hosta, and most people don't even know that hostas are edible. And I didn't know either. I mean, I've heard, but I wasn't sure. I mean, like, I tried a leaf last year when it was already like a full-grown plant. I tried the leaf and it didn't taste good. It was like meh.
Yeah.
But then this year I was determined to try it out properly. So as soon as it started coming out of the soil, I went out and I harvested the young shoots, kind of like what you would do with asparagus. And I cooked them the same way as I do asparagus, with just some butter and spices, and it was delicious. It was actually better than asparagus, I would say. It had slight oniony, like I would say it tasted like leeks to me. If you are familiar with leeks flavor, that's how hostas taste.
Okay. I've never tried leeks. I know well, I've seen videos about what they are in the wild. I've never grown them and I've never tried them. So apparently, if you bring plants in, they will go through some shock most of the time, but it's probably not as bad. Keep them cool, not cold, and don't let them dry out. That's my issue when I bring some plants inside. Is just not to forget to water them. Garbage I've started upstairs. I have some too. So Hickory Croft saying hi. Make sure you trim the flowers off the chives, or the seeds will blow all over your yard. That I don't mind. Like
Yeah, me too.
I was saying, food. If it blows all over my property, I'm fine with it. Like I planted some mint last year. If it grows, whatever. I don't
It
care.
will. It will.
It will. It will spread. It will take over everything probably. Then I'll sell the house and move away. So someone will come here with. No, but there's probably a way to control it at some point. I mean, if I don't want it to go in my garden, I'll just make sure I block them completely. Like
It goes under everything. I have this bed in front of my house, and that's where I made a mistake of planting mint 7 years ago. As soon as I moved into the house, I planted mint. And it, it's one of those round beds in front of, like everybody has in front of the house. And then after that is a lawn.
yeah,
Well, the mint made its way into a lawn. So now I'm mowing lawn and I smell mint.
well, it's not
But
that bad.
yeah, but I don't mind. I mean, I'm fine with that. And in the summer, I harvest mint every week. So every week I go and I cut and I hang it in upstairs and I dry it because I love mint tea.
Yeah,
And I like making like blends of different teas. So I always gift tea for Christmas for all of my friends and family. They're used to that. They don't buy tea anymore. They know I'm going to gift it to them. And I usually, in the past, I was just making like a blend in a jar and I would give it to them. But then I realized that people are kind of lazy. They don't want to, put it in a teapot. And everybody's used to using tea bags because it's just so much faster.
yeah.
So last year, I ordered a bunch of empty tea bags, like a cotton tea bags. And then I made my blend and I put it in the tea bags. So now people have an easy time. They can just use my homemade tea bags and don't go through trouble. And that's why I'm so happy to have a ton of mint, because it all gets used, no matter how much it grows. And another relative of mint that's also really invasive, and you probably have it too, lemon balm.
I have them. I have one plant that I got for free last year at the end of the season because I was looking for mints,
Hmm.
and a local nursery had some left. Like when the season was over, they were closed. I called them. I said, "Hey, do you have any?" They said, "Well, yeah, we have some at 50% off, but some of them are almost dead. So come pick it up, and if you want them, we'll just give you the ones that are
Hmm.
probably dead." And I got there, and she's like, "Okay, you want some lemon balm? Take it and do whatever you want with it." And I planted them like side by side, so I don't know what it's gonna do. I don't know if I should take them out as soon as I see them and plant them somewhere else. If they're
Well,
both
it
invasive, then
yes, it is invasive. So lemon balm just spreads like crazy. It spreads by seed because it blooms eventually, and the wind blows the seeds. But it also spreads by roots.
okay.
And but I love lemon balm probably even more than mint because it has nice citrusy smell and flavor. So I enjoy it, and I use it not only in teas but also in cooking. Like I add it to my salads and other dishes. I just love it. So, speaking of perennials, we were talking about perennial vegetables, mint, lemon balm, and there's few other herbs that are perennial, which I think are must have for any perennial garden.
Hmm.
And another one is um, what it's called, Monarda Bee Balm. Here you go. That's also a great herb to have from the same family.
I just want to say goodbye to Robert. I saw you that you were leaving. Thank you for being here. Hopefully, you're still here to hear me say goodbye. So I don't know, just 5 minutes behind. It's not that bad. Hostas are a good edible landscape plant for some mild spring shoot harvest. So Hickory Croft Farm, they do pretty much everything. If you're looking to buy an encyclopedia, just subscribe to them instead. They do it all.
Awesome. That's good.
Yeah. Hostas, the former owners of our house, love them and planted them everywhere. I have dug up hundreds of them and given them away. I had some too, and I had to build 2 bedrooms in the basement because 5 kids, they need bedrooms. They had to blast through the cement to make windows, and next to the on the other side of the windows were where I had some flowers and some plants. So I decided to get rid of them all, and I gave them to some of my coworkers, and I had a few ustas in there, and they're gone. There was a few ones. I don't know what happened. They just disappeared. I don't know. Like I'm good like that. I can always end up killing plants that are not supposed to be easily killed.
That's weird.
Any thoughts on San Marzano versus Roma versus other paste tomatoes?
Well, I'll vote for San Marzano always because I love it. I tried other Roma varieties and I didn't like it. I like San Marzano more.
Use it as a selling feature. It comes with an established mojito line. Yeah, I guess that and a few apples. I don't know how
Yeah.
it's together, but love that line. Mainly I grow it for tea and for my chickens. They love it, and it makes the coop smell good. I never thought
That's
about giving it to the
that's
chickens.
interesting.
Yeah, chickens will eat pretty much anything. If you have something in the garden that smells good or that is rich in vitamins or whatever, the chickens are gonna go and eat it. It's like they
That's
know. I had a few sunflower sprouts a few years back, and they ate them all.
oh. They're like, we didn't get to eat them when they were seeds. Now we're gonna eat them as plants
Yeah.
because we used to feed our chickens in Ukraine sunflower seeds. We had like a ton of sunflowers, so in the end of the season, when the seeds were not their first freshness, we would just give it to the chickens, and they loved it.
Instead of buying the $2 packs, I buy these.
Mm-hmm.
They're for birds, but I mean, it
You
says
can,
not
yeah.
to seeds, but you plant them, they're gonna sprout into some flowers.
As
Most of them,
long, yeah, as long as they're not roasted.
yeah, and they're not because it says that we should not eat them because they are not roasted. I had a few ones like these a couple of years back, and they fell on the ground, and they started sprouting. So I'm pretty confident that I can grow them. And instead of paying, like I said, $2 where you get about 20 seeds, this was about $6 at Walmart, and there's like I don't know how many thousand seeds. If I can plant them all somewhere and grow them, I'm gonna have some
If you have
flowers for the rest
if
of
you
my
have
life.
a ton of land, then just go and scatter them. It's
Yeah,
better to see sunflowers growing in wild instead of
yeah.
weeds.
The only thing is, around here, they're not perennial, so they would die in the first fall.
Yeah.
I am a tea snob. I love Louis. Yeah, my girlfriend. Well, I love mint tea as well, but I've read that it can be bad for the stomach for someone with stomach pain, stomach issues. Uh, I'm one of those persons, so I had to stop drinking the mint tea, but I love it. It's just that.
Well, if it makes you uncomfortable, then stop. But it's very individual. I find that herbs to be so individual. Like for some people who say, "Oh, I have this issue and I can't have that," but another person with the same issue can have a different reaction.
Mhm.
So it's just try it out and see.
He's gone and planting mint all around the coop this year too. So doing it again. Purple dead nettle.
Oh, I have that too in my lawn. I didn't plant it; it was there already. But it's a great medicinal plant. Yesterday, I was harvesting, if you can call that harvesting. I was picking dandelions and wild violets. So we have those just growing everywhere. And most people just consider them weeds. They try to get rid of them as much as they can. They spray them with chemicals, which I hate it. When I see my neighbors going around and spraying, I don't like that. I almost want to go and say, don't do it, but nobody would listen.
It's edible. The whole plant is edible. That's crazy when you think about it. You can drink tea with the roots. You can
Mm-hmm.
like the stem, the leaves, the flower
Mm-hmm.
itself. Everything is edible.
Yeah, so I picked dandelions, only flowers, and then I separated the petals from the green parts. And also wild violets. I separated purple petals, and I infused raw honey with dandelion petals and wild violets. So it should be ready in a couple of weeks. I mean, you can consume it right away, but if it sits longer, then all of the honey will absorb all of the medicinal properties from dandelions and from violets. So I love doing these like little DIY projects. It doesn't take a long time, but you're introducing some free medicine, I call it, because they are medicinal, but you don't have to pay for them. They're just there. They're growing for free.
Hmm.
That's what nature gives us, and we have to consume it. We have to use this opportunity instead of going to pharmacy and spending ton of money for things that may be helpful for one thing, but they may hurt other stuff.
Just don't say it too loud. I work in a pharmacy. Just kidding. Chamomile is something that I love too. This is the tea that I've been drinking since I couldn't drink the mint tea. I need to steal some lemon balm from my neighbor. Uh, stinging nettle. All right. So, you wanted to talk also about food forests,
Yes.
and that's kind of interesting, considering you live in a big city,
Mm-hmm.
have a small backyard.
Yeah,
So
so
how do you expect to do that?
most people think if you want to have a food forest, you need to have a ton of land because, forest, people assume uh, that it has to be a lot of trees and a lot of plants growing. But what food forest concept is that you combine different perennials of different shapes and sizes, and you just have them all in the same spot. So, like, a big thing in food foresting is tree guilds. So you plant a tree, and then around the tree you plant your bushes, and then you plant something that climbs up, like a grape or kiwi wine or something else that has that type of growing. And then you plant your herbaceous layer. So those are like chives or lemon balm or mint. And then you can plant stuff that has uh, roots, things like onions, perennial onions. And all of these layers of food forest, I think there are 7 of them. By combining them all in one spot, you're maximizing your uh, production of food. You don't have to like space them around and grow them all in rows. You have them all in one spot, and you save the space. So I think food forest concept is actually better for small gardens, for people who live in big cities and they don't have a lot of space. So I recommend everybody to look into this concept. And of course, if you have more land, then go for it. Plant as many as you want. But I would always suggest to start small and then slowly expand, because as you expand, you learn what things grow good in your area and what don't. So, like in my area, we have such a climate that it's perfect for fruit bushes. So things like blueberries, raspberries, blackberries, red currants, black currants, they grow so well here. Probably in Canada they grow great too. So I can't hear you.
I put
Oh,
myself on mute because the kids go up and down the stairs, and I was saying that we also have haskaps. I don't know if you
nice.
heard
I've
about.
heard of them, but I never grew them yet.
Okay, I had about 5 berries last year, so I didn't get a chance to taste them well. I gave one to each kid, just try them out, and I guess they're pretty good. I've heard they taste somewhat like in the middle of raspberries and blueberries, somewhere in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
Hello, Henny. Back to Basics Homestead is here. If I miss anyone, I'm sorry. We're way behind in the chat, but it's all fun. Keep
Yeah,
going.
I have like probably around 10 different bushes growing around my small yard. 6 years ago, I brought currants from Ukraine because I couldn't find them anywhere here. Now they're actually selling them. Like I've been to Home Depot the other day, and I've seen red currants for sale.
I saw some today at Walmart also.
Yeah, so they're gaining popularity lately, which is
One,
good. I mean, I'm always for it. If people are learning and starting to
yeah,
grow, that's awesome. Uh,
the one I like is gooseberries. I love gooseberries.
yeah, me too. This year I planted Hosta berry. Have you ever heard of it?
Nope.
It's a cross between gooseberry and black currant. So it has a slightly bigger berries than currants, but it doesn't have all those spikes like a gooseberry.
Cool. The best of
So
both worlds.
yes, the best of both worlds. I mean, I haven't tasted it yet because I just planted, but that's what I've heard. I have red currants, black currants, and white currants growing, and I love all of them. And then I also have golden raspberries, regular raspberries. And last fall, my mom came from Ukraine and brought for me this weird plant that I have never even heard of. She said somebody gave it to her. It's a strawberry raspberry. So it's a raspberry that it grows like raspberry, like big, not like strawberry. It grows like raspberry, but then the fruit looks like a strawberry. It's
Cool.
it's a weird thing, and I planted it last fall, and a couple of weeks ago it started growing. So I'm so
Nice.
excited. I love growing these unique things, that are edible. Of course, I don't want some. I don't want just ornamentals because they just take up space.
Yeah.
I want it to be edible. So I like to grow unique things, and it's just exciting, because you can go to the grocery store and buy your regular strawberry or raspberry, but they don't sell these
No.
weird things.
No, and there's always something special about growing your own food, and whenever
Mhm.
you come to eat it, it always tastes a little bit better.
Yeah, because you can harvest it when it's ripe. You don't
Yeah.
have to do it beforehand because you have to put it in
Mhm.
transit and deliver it. You can just eat it right there in the garden, and that's when it's the best.
Exactly. I just want to say hello to Lori's World. Hi, Lori. Welcome to the chat. Melissa had a question for you, or for me, maybe for both of us, but I'm going to let you answer it. What plant are you growing that you haven't grown before, if
A
there's
lot.
any?
A lot. Yeah, every year I try to grow at least 10 new things
Wow.
because one is not enough. I mean, in previous years, like maybe I started, I moved to this house 7 years ago. And the first year I tried a few things, and then next year I scaled it up. Now it has to be like around 10 different things I'm not even talking about varieties. I always try to grow different varieties each year, varieties of tomatoes and peppers and stuff like that. But I also like to introduce new species in the garden too, just to see if they like it here or not. Like this year, I'm growing a new tomato called Lychee. Have you ever heard of it?
No, I'm not too familiar with tomatoes.
Well, it's not really a tomato. It's from the same family. So it's from the same nightshade family,
Okay.
eggplants and stuff like that. But it grows similar to tomato. It grows like big and tall and branching out. But the difference is it has spikes, thorns all over. So it's a thorny tomato. And the fruits are these little tiny, kind of like sun gold tomatoes. And they're supposed to taste similar to tomato, but a little bit sweeter. So I'm
Cool.
excited to try. If any of you guys in the chat know how to have a success with lychee tomatoes, let me know, because I started them from seed, I think in February. They are probably 2 feet now, and they are ready to be transplanted. I have them outside hardening off, and I was thinking to put them in the garden tomorrow because what I've heard about lychee tomatoes is that they can actually take some cold. So the difference between them and regular tomatoes, that regular tomatoes don't like cold. They need warm, steady temperatures. But lychee tomatoes can take as low as 20 something degrees. So even below freezing, they can survive.
Cool.
So that's interesting. And I would like to know if somebody had experience with that. I've heard some people hate them. Like it's one of those things that you either love it or hate it. I wonder which category I'll fall into.
Foraging with the dandelion, wild violet. I also like to forage spruce tips. They're pretty
Nice.
good. Yeah.
Hmm.
I tried for the first time last year. I want to make some jelly. I love the jelly on little crackers. They're so good.
What do they taste like?
Uh well, of course, you have the smell of the spruce.
Hmm.
It's hard to say. It has like a fruity taste, but I don't know if it's just the recipe my coworker gave me that maybe she added some sugar in it or
Hmm.
whatever. But it was, I don't know, it was pretty good. I'm
Nice.
gonna try to find some more recipes and try different things to see if it's just really the spruce doing its thing or
Hmm.
if it's really the ingredients that she had it. Did you make jam with the violets?
Yes, I've done two. One I did with I included the violet petals in, so it was kind of more like a preserves. And then the other one I strained the petals, so it became like this nice violet color jelly that was clear, and it was delicious. It had the floral taste and smell, very similar to like if you would do other type of a flower jelly. Like I've done peony jelly before too, and I did rose jelly, and they had similar taste. All of them were like floral, and it's nice. It's good to have. Of course, they are not very filling, but it's okay. You need to have a variety of different jams and jellies. And for people who love canning, I would suggest going beyond your comfort zone and don't just can your typical fruits, strawberry, raspberry. Try other things. Like I've also did I think in 2020 I did dandelion jelly, and it was pretty good. I loved it.
Yeah, there's someone talking in a chat about doing it too. Right here, actually, impatiently waiting for dandelions to pop up here so I can make the jelly. I try that. I find it has like a honey lemon taste,
Hmm.
kind of. I loved it. Maybe not as much as the spruce tips jelly, but then again, you can use them, with a little bit of a piece of cheese on a cracker. It's delicious.
Yeah, I already have dandelions popping up, so I'm slowly collecting them. And I found that because I have a small property and I can't just go and collect a pound of them or 5 pounds like some people do. So what I do, I collect every day a little bit, and then I put them in the freezer. So, they don't wilt and they don't lose their shape and stuff. So that's a nice little tip for those people who can't do it all in one day. You can freeze your flowers.
Cool. Probably kills a little bugs hiding in them also.
Yeah.
Just for that there, it's worth it.
Hmm.
Uh, Current farm about 5 minutes from us. Cool.
Nice. Here around Chicago, I couldn't find any farm that they would grow currants. And then eventually I found one, but it was like 2 hours drive. And I was like, okay, I did it one time, but then I figured, no, I better grow my own so I don't have to travel 2 hours to collect some currants.
To do it once, it's one thing, but if you have to do it more than once, then it's
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I would do it if I can't find it. Like another fruit that I really, really love, and they're hard to find here at least. I mean, maybe in Canada they are more popular. I love sour cherries or tart cherries, and they are hard to find here. Nobody grows them. I mean, I've heard that in Michigan they are a big hit because I guess the weather is perfect for sour cherries, for any kind of cherries. So I planted my own sour cherry tree just so I don't have to travel around and and harvest in those U-pick farms, because we have a few U-pick farms that you go and collect, but they're far and it's not practical to travel that
I
far.
have one strawberry you pick farm like right behind my house.
Nice.
Cross my property line, and there I am. It's I keep telling the kids, someday I'll go and hide at night and go in there, but I mean, I'm not that kind of person. It's just I could if I wanted to go in there and there's so many strawberries. Like if it was the end of the world, I guess I would have a place to go and grab a few strawberries. But I have a few of mine here also on my own property. So
Strawberries, they grow so fast and they are also really invasive, kind of like mint. They take over. I
yeah,
have
no money.
strawberries. Yeah, I have strawberries in my lawn in the back. They keep coming closer and closer and just taking over. But I don't mind. I like strawberries. I have like 5 varieties growing, different varieties of strawberries. And
Cool.
my favorite strawberries are actually not these large ones, but those tiny, what they call them, alpine strawberries, the
Okay.
really tiny ones, the ones that are similar to those that grow in wild.
Okay.
I find them really tasty. Like they have more flavor than typical regular strawberries.
Cool.
So I have some that I brought from Ukraine. So they, remind me of my childhood. And I have some other ones that, some of my friends gardeners shared with me. They also brought it from some other parts of the world. I like to collect things from like all over. It's exciting. You come outside in your garden and you have like one plant from Europe and one plant from Asia and from all over the world. It's awesome. I
Nice.
love this time that we live in because we can not only order things from all over the world, but we can share. We can have like in one city here in Chicago, we have people from everywhere. My neighbors on the right are Italians and on the left are from Mexico and across the street are from somewhere else. So it's awesome. We different cultures we mix
Yeah.
in and we share things and we grow different things. My neighbors on the right that are Italian, they grow a ton of tomatoes too, and they grow a lot of beans. And we like to share in the summer. So
Cool.
I love that.
Ren's Homestead is asking, what do you use floral jellies for? Crackers?
Well, I'm not big on crackers. I'm a bread girl. Like I love bread.
Oh,
So for
interesting.
me, I like bread, butter, and jelly or jam. And I know it's not that healthy, but I use it as a dessert or as a treat.
No problem with that. No problem. And before I forget, people in the chat, don't hesitate to go and subscribe to Kitchen Garden Therapy. She has amazing stuff. Which brings me to my next question. You live in a big city. You have a small backyard. Urban gardening at its best. Just how much food do you think you can grow in a year on your small property?
Well, I haven't measured it. I don't have a scale to like weigh it every harvest. But I can tell you that I haven't bought jam in so many years. Like I'm not buying jams anymore. So all of the jams that I am making are from what I grow. And also I am not buying any pickles. Like I'm doing all of my pickles and I'm not only pickling cucumbers. I'm also doing pickled tomatoes because that's a Ukrainian thing. If you don't know, in Ukraine we love pickled tomatoes, and we also brine them. So there is a different kind of preserving. Instead of using vinegar, you let it ferment, and you can ferment any kind of vegetable. Sauerkraut is one of those things. You use salt as your preserving agent. So we do in Ukraine. We did cabbage, um, also pickles, cucumbers, and tomatoes. Those are like 3 things that I usually do, and I never have to buy them from the store. And another thing is tomato sauce. So in the summer, I grow enough tomatoes to make all of the sauces I need for the winter time. So
Nice.
even, I mean, I can't grow enough greens to supply me throughout the winter. Of course, I have to supplement it in cold months, but in the summer months, I don't buy any fresh fruits and veggies. We eat from the garden, and I am able to preserve sauces, pickles, and jams. So, and I think that's a good thing considering the size of my garden.
Of course. I mean, every little bit helps.
Exactly. Yeah.
You
And
can't.
also,
I was just going to say you can't be self sufficient in every aspect, but
yeah.
the more you can be, the better it is for your family, I guess.
Yeah. Every year I try to expand just a bit. When we moved into this house 7 years ago, we had only like by both fences, we had 1 foot that had something growing, like 1 foot row. The previous owners had their daylilies and hostas and some, ornamentals. And that first year, I started digging out those things I didn't like and planting food. And every year, I would expand it 1 foot more and then one more. Now I have like 5 feet from both sides, and that's my perennial garden. So in ground, I grow all of the food forest types of vegetables. So I planted trees, and then around the trees, I have all of the bushes and then herbs. And then in the middle of the yard, I made raised beds. And then in raised beds, I am growing all of the annuals, things like peppers, tomatoes, and stuff like that. And I'm,
Nice.
as I said earlier, I'm trying to utilize my front yard too. I have hanging baskets on my front stairs. And I'm trying to grow there peas and radishes and stuff like that. And I'm trying to go vertical too. So I have like an herb tower
Cool.
in the back, and trying to just use every inch of the garden.
Lori saying that she has dandelion everywhere, but don't know what to do with them. I'm not too familiar with the flower. Like I know you can do the jelly. Now, don't ask me about the recipe. I don't have it. But what I
I
know
do.
is you can roast the roots and
Mm-hmm.
drink, like put them in a tea, and they say it tastes somewhat like coffee. I
Yeah.
don't find that it tastes like coffee, but it can give you like the little kick in the morning. I guess it doesn't have caffeine, but it can give you like the little comfort in the morning.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You can also eat the leaves, pretty much like spinach. They're very rich in iron, from what I heard.
Yeah, they are so similar to arugula. Like they have that bitter flavor, and some people hate it. They just don't like it. I find it pleasant. Like to me, I like it. But you have to pick them young. So when they're just starting to grow, you pick dandelion leaves. The older they get, the more tougher and bitter they will be. But you can infuse honey. You can also dry dandelion flowers and then add them to your tea blends. So not just roots and leaves, flowers are used too. It's awesome.
Hmm.
This year I started Japanese white dandelions from seed. They haven't sprouted yet, but I started them last week. And I am just wondering how will they taste, because it's supposed to be the cultivated variety of dandelion, the one they grow specifically for food. So I'm curious to find out if the flavor is any better than the regular dandelion. Of course, my family were like, "What? You're starting dandelion seeds? Don't you have them right there?"
They go everywhere. They take over everything.
But I mean, hey, everybody's gonna have yellow dandelions, and I'll have white. How cool is that?
I'm just trying to go through the chat here. Um, Thank you for sharing your channel, Croft.
Yeah, thank you.
Maybe from the squash flower. They were talking about squash. There's a inside joke with Hickory Croft. Chris is kind of obsessed with squash. It's probably why I like him so much, and we're so good friends because I love squash as well.
Mhm.
Yeah, squash jelly. See, and there was this little drinking game that whenever someone would talk about squash, I would have to take a drink. But I had to stop. I was getting drunk before. Like I was still drunk in the morning.
I haven't heard of squash jelly yet, but I've made squash jam, which when you cook it with sugar and everything, it tastes like pineapple. Like it has a similar taste to pineapple. So you can trick people. You can say, "Oh, here's some pineapple jam," and it's actually zucchini or squash.
Thank you for being here, Carpenters. Self Reliance. Take care. Chris and Larry Homestead, welcome to the chat. Learning Curve Acres, Marcy, welcome. It's nice to see some people. I can't really say coming out tonight, but I mean staying home and watching us. Hello, Michael or Billie Jean, probably both of you. Uh, did you see Dad's video on squash powder? That's not for me. Talking to each other. Hello from Arizona. Kristen
Yeah,
Land,
I've
Arizona.
seen that.
Uh, taste grows. Could be interesting to try 4 species of squash as jelly. Chris is going to try it for sure. He's, make a series of video on it, Chris. I'm
Yeah,
going to think at him, but it's just teasing. You like him.
yeah. I can't grow too many of squash because of the space I have. I mean, limited space. But I did planted some small varieties, those like container-friendly squash and zucchini, um, because I can't give them enough space in the garden. They'll take over. They'll choke other things I have growing. But if I can contain them in some kind of pot, that will be good.
I was watching, I think, Wilder Stead. They made a video and she was telling me, I don't remember the name of the lady. She was telling me that what they do is they plant the squash on the edges of the garden, and the big
Mhm.
leaves will pretty much kill the weeds, and then they keep expanding like that. They keep planting the squash on the sides, like pumpkins
Mhm.
and other squash, and they keep growing their garden that way. So I'm gonna try that this year for sure. I had my cucumbers on the edge last summer, and I ended up not having a single cucumber. So I really want to have more this year. The previous year I had so much that I didn't know what to do with them. The last year I had none. I mean, I
Well,
love cucumbers.
there is such a thing as a good year and bad year for whatever vegetable or fruit you're talking about. So
Yeah.
sometimes, you have a good luck with cucumbers and you planted them the same way as you would always plant. And they just do better this year. And next year you do it the same thing, but they don't grow well. I think you muted yourself again.
I keep clicking the wrong button and my screen keeps going like boom, boom, boom. Anyway, I got it now. It's just that there's always a kid opening a door, slamming a door somewhere, and I know it's coming, and I try to push the button to make sure you don't hear the big slam in your ear. I tried
Well,
growing candy pan last year. It didn't grow. There's always, like you said, there's always something
there's
that
always something that doesn't grow. Yeah, it happens. What can we do?
grow squash up a trellis works great.
Yeah, I've tried that. I think in 2020, and I didn't have much though. Like I would have a few, but somehow they grow better for me when they are on the ground, like low, growing low. Maybe they get too much sun if they go up the trellis. I don't know. Maybe that's the difference.
Yeah, I don't know. It depends. Maybe the way, like, it's tough to say. Like, I mean, if you plant them, they go up. They're gonna go up regardless. But it might be one side or the other. Then maybe they grow in
Mhm.
a better position, or I don't know.
Yeah, like
Uh,
I noticed that my cucumbers, even though they are warm loving, like sun loving plants, but if I give them a little bit of shade, they produce more. And if I put them right there when there is nothing around, they get burned. No matter how good I water them, they don't produce much because they dry up so fast.
have you ever grown cucumbers on trellises?
Always.
Okay,
Yeah. So cucumbers, I grow on trellises, but larger things, pumpkins and squash, I don't.
I know that. Like, I knew cucumbers could be grown on trellis. I've never tried it myself. the f- the year that I was telling you about, that where I had a lot of success, I just had them like in the middle of the garden, and I knew, like, I kept some space for them to grow.
Hmm.
But the thing is, you to go in the middle, I pretty much had to step over the plants and almost killing the plants going there. So it was, there was always one somewhere that I would find that went bad before I had time to pick it up. But I had chickens and pigs, and I would give it to them. So it's not completely lost.
Yeah. Also, you can save seeds from those overgrown cucumbers.
You don't hear the kid, like, you don't hear. I didn't put the mute on. You didn't hear the kids going up the stairs. It depends. Sometimes they go fast and it's like boom, 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 boom. Like I can feel the walls shaking, but sometimes it's not that bad. So I guess they're learning a little bit. You only
Yeah,
make
my
one type of tincture for the rest of your life. Which one would it be? Good question.
for me it would be echinacea for sure. Echinacea is a cone flower, I guess that's how people call it. It's an immune boosting plant. So I was growing up with it. Like my mom used to always make it, and we would take it as prophylactically, like before the cold season would start. We would take echinacea tincture, and so now I just got so used to it that every year I do it. And echinacea is easy plant to grow. You just dig up some roots and you know you put them in alcohol or whatever thing you want to use to make, because there are different kind of tinctures. So for my kids I don't do alcohol tinctures because
Of course.
for obvious reasons. So what I use is either I make vinegar tincture, or some other, like I infuse honey. um, there's so many ways of preserving herbs. Mostly for kids I do teas because they don't like to take something that has a strong flavor, but if I make it into a tea then they would do it.
Sounds bad.
Yeah, but for
I,
myself I would rather take a spoon of a tincture instead of like drag it and do drink a lot of tea. I love tea, but I love flavorful tea, not if I have to take a tea of something that doesn't taste good, like dandelion.
yeah. I have I started planting echinacea for the first time this year. I have one plant that's about that big. I don't I think I don't know if I'm wrong, but you can maybe let me know. Is there like more than one kind of echinacea? Like I have one that I think is purple, and another one that would be more on the yellow orange color.
Yeah, so the traditional echinacea is purple, but then they came up with other varieties.
Okay.
And as far as I know, the purple, the original one, is the most medicinal. So the more hybridization they'll do, the more they'll mess with the plants, they will lose their medicinal property. They'll have some, but not as much as the original one. So I would suggest for people who want to grow it for medicinal purposes to grow the real thing, the traditional one. But then if you just grow it for, to have it as ornamental plant, you can try different colors. I know some people who just hate everything pink and purple, so they want to have some other colors.
Like I the ones that are growing, I don't even know. Like I know Annie from Back to Basics Homestead sent me some. Um, I think she sent me the yellow ones, and I purchased some from a local store that were the purple ones. But which one is growing and which one that I put in what, like
Mm. You'll find out once they bloom.
yeah, exactly, if they do, because as you know I can kill them pretty easily. I saw Steven Cheats coming in. Scott ramblings with the brooms. Thank you for being here. A lot of people tonight. It's fun.
Yeah.
Um, Cucumbers grow pretty well on a trellis. We do watermelon, sugar baby, which is smaller, and it does well, but you do have to support them sometimes when they get bigger.
Yeah,
Okay.
I wish I can grow watermelons and other type of melons. I love them, to eat, but it's hard to grow them here because they are tropical, and they need long growing seasons. So by the time I plant them out, they just don't make it. I mean, last year I grew watermelon, and I got two watermelons. They were delicious, but it's not worth it, to give it so much space and then only get two little fruit. I want more.
I also see Gathered Together Homestead. Welcome to the chat as well. So it's 10:20. I'm at 10:21 right now in the chat, so I'm only 5 minutes behind, so it's not that bad. Cucumber Melon is one that I started. I planted them last weekend actually, so I'm hoping they start sprouting soon. I started my sugar babies this week. They might sleep better. Teas are a good way for sure. So there is Scott and Stevens. Come to the Eastern Ontario conference next weekend and get cucumber melon seeds. That's the conference I'm going. She's the one that's organizing the whole event.
Nice.
The Whistle's camera said it actually looks like you're sitting next to each other. I have the seeds. They just need to start. Okay, not for me. I got two last coneflowers planted last year and didn't realize until after I planted them they aren't food grade. Okay.
Well, that's depending of what they mean by food grade. So if they sprayed them with something at the nursery that they were growing at, that means for the first year, once you plant them out, they are no good. They're not food grade. But after they perennialize in your garden and you don't use any chemicals, you don't do anything to them, you grow them organically, then eventually they become food grade because you haven't been doing anything bad to them. So you can start consuming. Like I've had some plants that I bought from nursery as grown plants already, and I didn't harvest from them that year because I don't know what that nursery was doing to them. Maybe they were spraying some chemicals on them. I don't want to consume something I'm not sure. So I always let my plants to perennialize, grow for years, and then I know that I'm doing something good for my family, not actually hurting them.
Cool. I have the perennial echinacea saying hi to each other. I'll give you the seeds for medicinal echinacea next week. Saying hi, saying hi. Gather together, Homestead. Sorry, but I have to go. Another great live for me. It was nice to meet you, Slava. Thank you very much, Lynn.
Yeah,
Sean,
thank
hey
you.
Sean, I didn't see you coming in. Welcome to the chat. A lot of people talking. My watermelons are 1 foot tall right now. I planted them 5 weeks ago. That's the way to do them, I guess. You have to plant them
Mhm.
early and transplant them in the greenhouse if you want to have the season extended a little bit. But then again, you might not have the space for a greenhouse.
Yeah, and also some of the plants don't really like transplanting. Like tomatoes do great, peppers don't mind, but cucumbers, I do transplant them, but sometimes they just hate it. They don't like being transplanted.
They are very sensitive if you touch the roots.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
roots are very, very weak. So you have to be careful. Whenever you transplant it, you have to make sure you don't touch the roots.
Yes, yes. And I find zucchini, watermelon to be the same thing. Gotta be careful with them.
Yeah. Lost Book of Herbal Remedies. Do you know that book?
I've heard of it, I've seen commercials for it, but I already have so many herbal books. Like, I'll show you. I have some over there on top and some over here. I have books over here, like everywhere. I have a
No.
ton. And I try not to buy anymore because it's all the same information, in each of them. You just have to make sure. For me, I was learning herbalism since I was a kid. I was my great grandmother was an herbalist, so when she was alive, I was learning from her. But then when I came to United States, I had to relearn what are the names in English for all of the plants because the names are different in every country. And I have to just make sure I'm talking about the right herb because in my own language it's totally different.
Cool. Echinacea is 15 years old. It means it lasts very long. I'm
Yeah,
probably
yeah.
going to kill it the first year. So the native echinacea has the strongest medical values.
Yes, all of the native herbs are the best. So I always try to use local stuff. You know what's good to the area. Holy basil is listed as very. Yes, I love holy basil. It's called tulsi. Love tulsi, but unfortunately, it's not perennial here. I have to start it from seed every single year, and that's a pain, especially if if you need to start all of the other things like tomato and peppers. You run out of room. Like I always run out of room under my grow lights, and I need to like shuffle things around, take my cool season vegetables, put them in the greenhouse, and start warm season veggies. And it's always a hustle when you don't have enough space.
Oh yeah, I know the struggle. I have the same issue right now. A big pot helps with cucumbers, melons, and squash rather than the small seed trays. Then they don't get root bound or have the roots bug so much when planting out. Yeah, you hear the dog? Okay, hello. Gonna mess it up if I say the name, but hi. Eden Burns, Solon Homesteads.
Yeah, I always have a hard time with names too. I try to make it right, but with my heavy accent, it's not always the case.
Well, I have the same problem as you because I'm French, so
Mhm.
my English is already broken. Uh, well, thank you for being here, Marcy. Have a good night.
Yeah,
Uh,
that's why I was when I started my YouTube channel, I was doing voiceovers because when I do a voiceover, you can always go and fix it. You cut it, you make it again, and you make sure it sounds right, and people don't get scared when they listen to you. But when you film yourself, it's what you said, and that's it. You have to either redo it all over, and that takes a while. So doing voiceovers was always easier for me, and also I'm a little bit camera shy. But a couple days ago, as I was filming, I was making soup from sorrel, and I was filming it for the channel. And my kids started jumping and yelling, and I don't know what happened. My phone accidentally slipped out of my hands into the hot pot of soup.
oh
So
no.
I took it out right away, but it doesn't work properly. So I mean, I can call people, but I can only use speaker, and I can barely hear me. So now I call people from my car when I hook it up through the Bluetooth,
And
because
that's why
that's
I was having problems hearing you earlier.
yes. And then when I try to do voiceover, it doesn't work. Like I can barely hear myself. So until I fix my phone or get a new one, I have to come up with a new way of doing my videos. I've tried already, like recording myself and putting an overlay. It's weird. I'm not used to it, but so far it works. I'm not sure what my audience will think about it. So I asked people in the comment if it's okay or not, or what should I do?
So that was in your last video or last two?
Mhm.
Because I'm like 5 days behind on all the people that I'm trying to follow. So
Yeah, the last week I was so active. I think I uploaded every day, which is not usual for me. I usually do every other day or like 2-3 times a week. But it was just so many things going on. I was cooking a lot because garden is starting to produce, so I have a lot to show. All of my cool vegetables, cool season veggies, like I have some broccoli and some Asian greens, bok choy, tatso. So I have all of them producing, and I harvest and cook right away. So I need to film it and show to people what to do with these veggies, giving some ideas. And that's why I started uploading every day. And the video that I uploaded this morning is a little bit different. Like I actually show myself, which is weird for me.
well, you have no reason to be shy. I mean, when everyone I'm sure in the chat is pretty much the same way. Like when I first started my first video, I was just like, okay, I'm gonna do what everyone is doing, and I'm gonna do like a garden tour, and it was in French, and I had no clue what I was doing. I had no idea why people were doing it. To me, it was just a trend. Okay, I'm gonna do this trend and see what happens. And then I realized, okay, if I want to be serious about this, I'm gonna have to go and switch over to English. And I started off not really knowing what to say, not really knowing what to do, not even knowing what to show. And then as time goes, you get better, you improve, you feel more comfortable doing things, and you'll get there. Don't be afraid to be in front of the camera, because you don't look shy now. Like you seem pretty comfortable, and you've been talking, and I mean it comes naturally. So
Yeah, I was nervous in the beginning, but now I'm better.
yeah, and I'm glad. Like I saw you. I don't remember where it is that you commented on, or I commented on one of your videos, and you said something about I'm too shy to go on a live stream alone for now. I would like to go with someone else at first.
Hmm.
I said, well, you know what? Like I'll be happy to have you on one of my live streams, because it's easier for me to have someone else here to talk with than just being alone. And like I told you earlier, I like to bring new people in and give different point of views on different things. And obviously, you have something that most of us don't really have. We all have a big property, most of us anyway, and
That's something I'm only dreaming about for now.
you grow as much, like probably even more stuff than I do. So that's why I think that I can learn from you, because if you manage to grow that many things in a small space, imagine if I used my property to its fullest potential, what I could do, Like I probably don't have your knowledge yet. I probably need to learn a lot more, but I know the possibility is there.
Yeah, we all learn from each other. Like I like to watch homesteaders videos when they show their, chickens and other animals. Even though I don't have animals at home, but I love watching what other people are doing, and for the future, because I am sure in the future I will move somewhere more to the country. That I'll definitely want to retire in the country. Let's put it that way. I don't
Yeah.
know when it's gonna be, but sometime in the future when the kids grow up, and so I want to learn as much as I can, because even though I was growing up on the farm and we had all kinds of animals, but it was not here. It was not in the United States, and things are done different in different countries. So I want to know how it's, how other people are doing it. And believe it or not, I even seen some people in Chicago having chickens in their backyards. Like I
Well,
was driving and I saw a chicken crossing the road. I'm like, wow, chicken here.
I know, I don't know how it works in the States. Here in Canada, they seem to be pretty strict on different kind of animals that you can have on your property, but most of the cities will allow you to have at least 4 chickens. No
Nice.
roosters, but you can have chickens.
Yeah, yeah. Nobody wants to wake up in the city to roosters.
Yeah, but if that's a possibility for you, chickens, especially if you don't have harsh winters like we have here, you don't need a big space for chicken. You can have,
Mhm.
like, you can go, um, what is it in the States? Is it, you have Home Depot, and
Mhm.
you can go to Home Depot, probably buy like a pre-made chicken coop for like $300,
Yeah.
and you
Yeah,
could.
I went to a Tractor Supply
Okay, yeah,
a few
supplies a little.
weeks ago. Yeah, they don't have them in Chicago, but they have them like in suburbs. And Tractor Supply had a chicken coop for like 6 chickens, and they had little tiny chicks. They were selling them for like $2 each. And I almost came home with chickens. I'm telling you, I was so tempted. I went to
Well,
buy some fruit bushes, and I was like, "Can I have some chickens?"
we all have the same issue. We go to the store for one thing, and it's like, okay,
Yeah.
I want to buy this. I need to buy this. I was going there to buy some solo cups earlier today, and
Hmm.
I ended up coming back home with 4 different raspberry and ascam bushes. So, but if you're allowed to have chickens, and if you can, afford to put them somewhere.
I mean, I'm sure I can fit them somewhere, but the problem is, it will be I'll have a hard time because they will want to come out and they will go in my garden. I don't have enough space to kind of separate them from everything else. So I don't know, maybe in some future when eggs will be $10 a piece, it
It's
will be.
getting there. But by the time it gets there, the cost of feed will probably go up too.
Yeah, I figured, it's good to have chickens if you can grow your own feed for them. Like if you have a lot of land and you can grow a ton of corn, for example, or wheat, then it's good because in case there is no feed in the stores, you can have your own feed for animals. But since I cannot grow my own feed for animals, then I think it would be like probably not even cost effective for me to have chickens. Of course, those eggs will be better and fresher and everything, but cost wise, it's not going to be good.
Yeah, it gets cost effective if you have enough space to let them
Hmm.
go out and free range a little bit. I've never had that chance because as soon as they get out, they either go to one of the neighbors' place or to the other, and the neighbors don't want to have them on their property, so I have to go and pick them up and bring them back in. So I really have to build something, but I don't want to invest too much on building something to allow them to go outside because I'm not allowed to have chickens here. So I'm not really looking forward to show them to the population, to the people around here.
Yeah.
Um, but I've heard of people that has them, and
Give me
they.
1 second. I think somebody's knocking on the door. I'll be back in 1 second.
All right. Hello, welcome to the chat. Live with Linda and Chuck. For places that allow backyard chickens, the government wants money from you each year to be able to have them, plus inspections and all other headaches. They end up being some very expensive eggs. I don't know if you're talking about more in the States or over here, but they're not really bothering me here except for a village that came over and told me that I could not have more than 4 chickens.
Okay,
Um,
I'm back.
but if you can have chickens in a smaller space, quails or pigeons can work too and are usually allowed, though pigeons are not so much.
Yeah, I
There's
I would love to have chickens. That I love chickens just, as a pet. They're so cute.
pigeons makes good jerky. No from experience. I didn't even know it was something you could eat.
Yeah, I've never tried pigeon meat, but I've heard people do it. So it's
I know Ren's homestead has a lot of pigeons. We've yet to make a fried pigeon egg. Yeah, it's probably tough to make. City Girl Country Heart, welcome to the chat. Thank you for being here. So I'm hoping that by having this little chat, you could put a little bit of that shyness away.
I hope
Um,
to.
I'm looking forward to see you do your own lives in the future. I'm looking forward to learn from you again. How much? I guess we've touched that base already, but do you have a big proportion of your property that's mainly for flowers and like for the look
No,
more than
I interplant, so I mix things around. I have um, I have a lot of flowers, but as I said earlier, most of them are edible. I don't. There's some that are not edible but medicinal. I don't grow anything that I cannot use. So if I can't use it, then it's not in my garden.
have you thought about getting rabbits?
Uh, I don't really like them.
Okay,
I mean, I like them for looks, as
they're
again
cute.
as a pet, yes. And I have some bunnies coming around and munching on my greens once in a while.
So you don't want them over.
No.
I'm just asking because they don't make noise. They don't smell as much as chickens would.
Hmm.
Their manure is very, very good
Yeah.
fertilizer for your garden, and they make good meat as well.
I mean, I'm okay. I can eat anything. Like I'm not picky. Because I grew up like that. I couldn't be picky.
Yeah.
But my husband, my kids, I spoiled them. They don't eat everything, so they wouldn't eat rabbit meat. My husband don't even like turkey. He doesn't. The only things he eat is like chicken and beef. That's it.
I see they're talking about dehydrating here, and that's a question I had earlier, and I kind of forgot because we went on another subject. You were talking about your, is it your mint that
Hmm.
you're hanging
Hmm.
upside down to dry them up? Uh, is it just because you don't have a dehydrator, or is it because
No.
it gives something more?
Well, I do have dehydrator, but I don't use it for herbs because herbs dry up on their own. So why use electricity if it's going to dry up on its own anyway? Unless you're in a rush, like you need it now, tomorrow, then
I
yes.
I was under the impression that if you put like mint on a counter or somewhere like that, it was just like rot.
Well, if you pile it up, yes. But you have to spread. You can either do it horizontally, like spread it on a tray in one layer, and put it somewhere that's not too much traffic, and it's not humid. It has to be dry place. Or you can make a bunch, like a bouquet of mint or
Mhm.
whatever herb you're trying to
And hang it
use,
up somewhere.
and hang it upside down on a ceiling somewhere that it gets all airflow all around. That way it's not going to get moldy and it will dry up nicely. In about a week, I sometimes let it sit there for 2-3 weeks, until I have time, and I put it in a jar. But for things like if I want to dehydrate fruits or vegetables, then I use dehydrator because they are bigger, thicker, they will not dry on their own.
How long would dry leaves last for?
I mean, I try to use within 1 year, maximum two, but they are good for years, ages. It's just they will lose their flavor, their smell, and probably they will lose some medicinal properties, but you can still use them. And if you like store some dry herbs in a jar, you can later, when you have time, make tinctures out of them or make other medicinal things out of them.
Cool.
So yeah, like I have some herbs from 4 years ago that usually I like to grow some 1 year, and then next year I grow other ones because I can't possibly fit all of them in my yard. So I have to, kind of,
Hey,
yeah, grow it, harvest it, and then next year I don't grow them anymore. I have them stored just in case. Yeah, we have to be creative in the garden. And it's not only if you have small space, even if you have, let's say, limitless, endless garden, you're not going to be able to, physically to grow everything because you need to drop that seed. You need to go and weed around. You need to fertilize it or at least water it once in a while. So um, I would suggest to people to grow things that they really want, 1 year, and then next year change things a bit, grow different things, and preserve them whatever way works for them. For food, it's canning; for herbs, it's dehydrating. So preserve and have it in your pantry for years. Certain things you can't have for too long because they'll get spoiled. Like canning, it's advised to use within 2 years, but people store it for longer and they use it and they're okay.
yeah, and they live to talk about it.
Yes.
I dehydrate my herbs, vegetable, and so meats. We get real humid here, and drying herbs by hanging them doesn't work here. We have to dehydrate them.
Yeah, you have to see what works for you. Like for me, upstairs, and on my attic, it's so hot in the summer, but it is dry, so it's hot and dry, and I just put all my herbs up there, and they dry up nicely.
Cool. I'm guessing that if we wanted to do that, we wouldn't be able to do it in the summer because we have humid summer. Um, but in the fall, it might be a little bit better.
Mm-hmm.
It gets cooler outside, and it's usually not as humid. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna give it a try for sure. If my mint should be growing this year, so I don't think that I will struggle to find some mint anywhere.
Yeah. This year I want to try mint jelly. So I've tried all kinds of jellies, even dandelion and violet, but I've never tried mint jelly. And I've heard people making not only mint, but lemon balm jelly, basil jelly, all kinds of. So like basically any herb you can make jelly out of it.
Cool.
And I've never tried making herbal jellies. So maybe this year will be the year that I try mint, since I have a ton of mint growing anyway. So even if I fail, it's not going to be a loss.
It never really is. Failure is just a learning curve.
Yeah.
If
Usually,
you don't
yeah,
fail, you don't learn.
usually whatever I make turns out, if not great, at least okay. Like you can still use it. There was only one time that I failed like miserably. It could not be consumed. I made lilac jelly, and it's one of those, florals, flowers that you can make jelly out of. The only thing is, I didn't remove all of the greens, and it made the jelly so bitter that nobody would consume, nobody would eat it. So it was my failure. But this year, I want to try again, and I will make sure to remove all the greens.
Try tomato jelly too. Have you ever
I've
tried tomato jelly?
I've tried it. I didn't make it myself, but years ago I've tried it. Somebody gave it to me, and it was weird.
Yeah.
But I mean, I wasn't as much into gardening as I am right now, so probably now I would be more open-minded. And I'm talking about mint jelly now. So yeah, tomato jelly would would be
Mint
okay
jelly.
too. I mean, it's a fruit after all, so
Yeah,
why not?
exactly. All right, so we've been on for about 2 hours. Is there anything else you wanted to talk about that we didn't quite touch?
I don't know. I think we've talked a bit of everything.
Yeah, well, that's the fun part about those live streams. We
Yeah,
always have like a basic plan, and then like the plan is here, and we go that way.
deviate around.
Always. If
You know,
anyone has any question in the chat for Slava, don't hesitate. Um, how do you pronounce your last name?
Jalili.
Jalili. Okay,
Yeah,
it's kind of a French pronunciation.
is it?
Jalili.
It's actually Persian. So my husband, I'm from Ukraine, and my husband is from Iran, which is Persia. We're
Okay,
like from two different parts of the world. We're an international family.
living in the
So
United States.
yes, so it was just you know, it's his last name that I took after marriage. So my first name is Slavic, Slava is Slavic. And then the last name is Middle Eastern. Even though it doesn't, as you said, it doesn't sound Middle Eastern, it sounds French.
Yeah, Jalili. Reminds me of the fall honey we harvested. Ended up being goldenrod honey and had a bitterness to it. Definitely an acquired taste. I
Hmm.
didn't like it at all that much, but sometimes I get a craving for it. Hmm,
Yeah,
interesting.
goldenrod has a bitter taste to it. I have it growing in my garden.
Hmm,
It's
cool.
another of those medicinal must-haves. One thing that I forgot to mention, I was thinking about it, but then it just fell out of my head. When we were talking about tinctures, and somebody asked what's my favorites that I can't live without, and I was saying that for kids I don't do alcohol tinctures. I forgot to mention that I use glycerin or glycerin. I'm not sure if
Glycerin.
glycerin. Yeah, so it's a food grade. You can purchase food grade glycerin. And it tastes just like honey. Like it has a sweet, syrupy, texture. It's like a syrup. And what you do, you collect all of the herbs you want, and you infuse the herbs in glycerin, and then you strain them, and then you can give it to kids. It's safe for kids. So it's another one of those things that, if people are thinking to grow medicinal herbs and then make some stuff out of them, they can use glycerin.
Awesome.
Just wanted to say it before I forget it again.
Good. It's good. I see that pretty much during the live stream we've had about between 10 and 16 people watching. I have 32 thumbs up. Hopefully, some of them will follow you now and go check your channel out. I'm sure some people will. I mean, you're here. You're gonna be a little bit part of the community now. The community
Yes.
is great. I love all the contacts that I have. So don't hesitate if you ever have any questions about anything. There's someone in here that will definitely have an answer. I thank you very much for accepting my invitation. It was a pleasure, of course, to have you here with me.
Thank you for having me. It was so much fun. I loved it.
Yeah, people come here and they usually like it. So um, we make new friends, and you'll make more friends from the people in the chat as well. Hopefully.
Awesome.
So we're gonna stop it there, call it a night, and I want to thank everyone for being here, for spending some time with us, and we'll see you next time. And I don't think that I will be doing a live stream next Friday. If I am, it's probably just going to be a few minutes because I will be in Ontario with Thorhaven Farm, and I don't know what's going to happen, but I might even still be with Me and New Acres at this point in a week from now. So I will definitely keep you posted. If there's no live stream, well, then it's probably going to be a few short videos and a few videos coming on the week after that. So thank you very much, everyone, and see you guys later.
Bye.
Bye.